Now, in other news, the former Minister of Works and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, says Nigerians will need to amend their ways rather than seeking to rework the constitution all the time. Fashola, a former Lagos State governor, spoke at the Nigerian Air Force Officers Mess Honorary Members Forum 2023 annual lecture in Lagos. According to him, leadership is hard and demands example, courage, character, vision, as well as the ability to think and do. Fashola also said the calls for President Bola Tinubu to intervene in the Rivers State crisis, just like he was asked to intervene in the now resolved crisis in Ondo State, were unnecessary, as the Constitution clearly states how such crises should be resolved. He said, and I quote, "We have amended the Constitution, so what is left to amend except ourselves?" End of quote. Well, Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale now joins us to discuss the position of Mr. Babatunde Fashola on the political crisis in Nigeria and the type of orientation that Nigerians may need. Good afternoon and welcome to the program.
Yeah, it's a pleasure being here as usual.
Great.
Afternoon. Right.
Yes. Great start to the week, I think, with this conversation, which I think you'll tap into your PPE cap a little bit when we're looking at the Constitution and the ethics of reforming continuous constitutional reform. What are your thoughts on the statement by...
Right. I like the way you are coaxing me.
Yeah, I'm bringing you out.
That's right. But it's a very interesting topic. I think, in a way, the former governor, former minister of Works and Housing has been misquoted somewhat, because I read his speech. He spoke to Air Force officers on a leadership at a leadership forum. What he was saying is about constitutionalism, that the Constitution is there, that those fomenting trouble in Odo and River State know the Constitution. They know their limits, that there was no reason for the president to be called on to intervene. But the president has intervened, and that has resolved that at Ondo so far, and people are still calling on him now to intervene urgently in Rivers. So in a way, I understand what the former Minister of Works was saying, but on this issue, he missed the point. Get me? Because if the president had not intervened, there will not be solution there, and people will now be calling on him now. Because these are extra constitutional issues. Extra constitutional. He's a senior advocate, he's talking constitutionalism. But he went as far as to say that it is the same people who will say that the president was too powerful. That's why he's intervened. So you cannot be saying one thing, one breath, and saying another. But what I'm advocating now is the sort of values he asked for about leadership. And I will be very contemporary. You get me? I will use a good example. Over the weekend, I watched an interview, a press interview of the Chief of Defense Staff, Chris Musa, and I was very, very impressed. He was talking about security. You know, security is our main problem. What he was saying was what Fashola has said earlier on values, that Nigerians should not be using the media to run down their country, overseas and inside. That Nigeria will not be better and things like that. He spoke at the forum on that. But this particular Chief of Defense Staff was trying to explain what happened in Kaduna when the mistake was made and many people died. He said they have noticed that Nigerians in the various theater of war and conflict they have been to, they have noticed Nigerians helping the terrorists. That when their cars break down, they help them to fix their cars. They give them money. They give them support. And they give fake information to the army. That until all Nigerians are agreed that we want to rid ourselves of Fulani husband and Fulani farmers, Fulani jihadists, terrorism, and Maruda, that all of us are united. That we are all victims and these are common enemy. We will not move forward. That's patriotism and loyalty to the Nigerian nation. The Chief of Defense Staff stressed that. And he has my sympathy on that. Because if your own people give you wrong intelligence and you end up killing your own people, you are not sure how to move or when. and even went further to say that these terrorists are using civilian population as human shield, just like the Hamas. They said to be doing with hospitals in Gaza and all over the war zone between Israel and the Palestinians. So essentially, we need to reappraise ourselves attitudinally and value-wise. That's what Fashola was trying to say. On the issue of intervention in Port Harcourt, you see that it is even getting more urgent now. Although, left to me, I would still want the issue to play itself out up to a stage, because if the president too gets involved too early and the thing is not resolved, the president too is emerged in it, and then his credibility and his aura of power to intervene again, if ever, will be in jeopardy. So, the way things are unfolding in Port Harcourt, I'm happy that elders there have come to the fore, and they are trying to talk to Wike, they are trying to talk to Fubara. I hope sanity prevails. But on the issue of constitutionalism, Nigerians know the Constitution. But you see, it's not a matter of amending the Constitution. The Constitution is written in words, cold words. It is when it plays out that interpretation and understanding comes out. That's when you go to the courts. But you see, the one in Ondo, they went to the courts, but litigation after litigation on its own does not solve matters, because only interpretation. The spirit of the Constitution matters. The spirit and the people who run the Constitution and their values, such things matter. That is how constitutionalism translates into pragmatic politics, and we have successful conflict resolution like the one that has happened in Ondo. And hopefully, you call it my favorite. I can't disown it. Like what has happened in Ondo, and hopefully will happen in Port Harcourt before it descends into anarchy.
Absolutely. But now, of course, you've touched on, the Constitution and whatnot. But I'm also wondering, since all these, what should take place in situations like what we've seen play out in Ondo State and River State have already been outlined in the Constitution and may have not necessarily been followed. Do you think it might also be a time for us to start to see better character assessment when it comes to putting those in positions of authority that might not necessarily respect the Constitution?
We can't know how whether somebody will respect the Constitution or not until it gets to power.
There, yeah.
And that's the duty of the electorate, not our own duty. Yeah? You get me? But what I will say is that the presidential system has an inbuilt control system, checks and balances. The duty of the governor is clear. That of the legislature is clear. That of the judiciary, is to prevent misuse, abuse of power, or abuse of authority. That you have the system of checks and balances. That is, the power is not in the hand of one person. It's a three-tier situation, and they intertwine and they cross-check and check each other. Now it depends on the people doing it and the system. How strong the institutions in this system are. See now, in Nigeria, yes, you see, the judiciary is under serious public image crisis now. Mm-hmm. But it is because of persistent litigation. It has more than it can handle. You get me? And that excess of everything is bad. Maybe that has taxed the integrity of people who are there. But then, you can't have a presidential system without avenue for litigation to seek redress after an election. That's what the Constitution says. And it's not the legislator who will interpret the Constitution. It is the judge. And the legislator is to make laws and check the excesses of the executive in terms of expenditure and in terms of the sort of people they bring into office, like you are saying now, the sort of people, because if the president nominates, it is the legislature that screens. If they don't screen well, you say it is the fault of the executive. It is the duty of the legislature to screen. So it is an intertwined, conjoined system, like a Siamese twins joined at the stomach. They are inseparable in terms of delivery in the political, but they are separate and almost opposite in terms of their functions, so as to prevent dictatorship and tyranny and abuse of office. Yes.
Now, when we tie these all together, especially with an emphasis on the values that were spoken of, and you also referred to them, one wants to ask a question, which is that it seems like a chicken and egg situation. Which came first? Was it the chicken or the egg? Do the people deserve the leaders that they get? Are our leaders a reflection of who we are as a people? Or as people, are we a reflection of the leaders that are serving? Where do we draw the line with that?
Answer all your questions. The people,
you're ready for me?
Yes, the people deserve the leadership they get because they voted them into office. That's a truism. You get me now? If they voted for Vimbai, you can't go and put Dayo or herself there. That's the choice of the people. And they say the choice of the people is the choice of God.
So does that then take away our right to
it
complain?
Is your right. It is your right to pick your leaders. If they turn out bad, it is your funeral. Because you put them there in the first instance. That's political choice. People will die over you denying them their right to vote. But when at the end of the day, they say democracy is not about voting, it's about counting. When at the end of the day, they count. I say, this man. That is why at times you see people have been, put in office from jail. You get me? It happened to Nkrumah in Ghana. It happened to Mandela. He was in jail for 28 years. And at a stage at his trial, he said he was ready to die for saying that he would commit treason. 2027 became president. So the choice, you see, the fashionable thing in political development now is democracy. Power through the ballot box. Resolve solution through first past the post, majority rule. So if you vote and put a criminal in office, that is your choice. You get me? So the people deserve the leadership they put in office. What's the other one?
Unfortunately, we don't have time for it today, but you know what? This festive season, I do hope we're going to have more time to dig into more of these conversations.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Dayo Sobowale, Rising Analyst. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you. Thank you.